Well, the criteria to qualify for the social relief and distress grant has been revised, meaning many who are in need of the financial assistance will be excluded. Civil society organizations are now taking government to court over this. We speak now to researcher at the Institute of Economic Justice, researcher Zimbali Mncube. Zimbali, thank you so much for your time and thank you for joining us on this morning's program. Your organization has described some of these additional assessment criteria as unfair and exclusionary. Take us through how the changes are affecting previous applicants and beneficiaries of the SRD grant.
Morning, Dogozo. Thank you for having me. So there are particular issues that are still affecting beneficiaries, and they are linked to the limited budget that has been allocated to the DSD. And some of these issues include the issue of the use of outdated databases, that is from the UIF and SARS, which some of the beneficiaries have indicated that state that in some cases they are employed when they are not, or they are receiving a stipend from learnerships when they are not, when they've been unemployed for a number of years. And so that continues to be an issue for a number of beneficiaries. And we see in these regulations the DSD proposes to reintroduce the use of databases to assess whether people qualify. And then the other issue is introduction of questions to the forms or the application rather. When applicants apply, they are asked questions about their income, their parents and dependents and so on. And some of these questions are quite confusing, and applicants end up having a status that says, an outcome that says they've self-excluded themselves. And we see that about 2 million people have experienced rejections on the basis of that they've self-excluded themselves. Previously, these questions were not there in the application, and now they are there. And so these are some of the issues that are still posing a challenge to the application, and issues that we will raise when we respond to the proposed draft amendments in our comments with SERI.
Now, Zimbali, this is of course all happening against the backdrop of, rising food and rising fuel costs, as we mentioned in our introduction there. For millions of South Africans, we know that 350 rands SRD grant was the last safeguard against all sorts of food insecurity. What are some of your clients, or what are some of the research saying with regards to the effects of these millions of applicants no longer being able to access this social assistance?
Well, the groups that assess those kinds of food costs and so on, including the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group, have indicated that food prices have skyrocketed. And you can imagine that 350 has been at the level that it is at now since it was introduced. It hasn't been adjusted to inflation, while food prices have been increasing year on year. And so the households that depend on this grant are really struggling to put food on the table, and most importantly to realize their right to access to adequate nutrition for children and for their broader families. And so it's been a challenge. We see people coming to groups like Black Sash reporting that they cannot survive because of the delays of this grant.
You've already mentioned that this problem seems to be twinfold. We have outdated databases that are obviously streaming in incorrect information with regards to a number of these applicants. But we also have, as you've mentioned, this inaccessibility of the system itself. It's not very user-friendly for South Africans. You've issued a letter of demand to government to try and respond to some of these problems. Have you received a response? And what sort of immediate action are you looking to get from DSD?
Yeah. Yeah, you're quite right. It's both an issue of inaccessibility, but also another issue I didn't raise is that the application continues to be online. So only people that have can access or apply for the grant. But yeah, on the second part of the question, we've received a response just yesterday from DSD through their acting director general, and it was received by our representatives, our lawyers from SERI, and currently they are assessing that response, and they'll revert back in due course. But we are open to meeting DSD and deliberating some of these issues and trying to find a solution, an urgent solution to resolve this crisis.
Now, Zimbali, there is development around introducing a basic income grant for unemployed individuals in this country. Given how the SRD grant has been handled by government, I mean, are there concerns that South Africans who are in desperate need of this kind of social assistance may never see, a permanent extension of some sort of a basic income grant?
There are those concerns from some groups, but I think it's important that government and the interested stakeholders meet and find solutions. I don't think that the problems that we're speaking about are beyond repair. I think it's a matter of looking at the international evidence there, looking at the working together with experts in this area and civil society, including groups like ourselves and broader civil society, to ensure that we really administer the best form of basic income support that is available. And some of the existing research already indicates that means testing and a form of categorical targeting, which seeks to narrow the grant to a specific set of beneficiaries, is a challenge, especially in developing countries. And so this is one particular issue that I think in the design of the grant we should be reconsidering. But again, it's an issue that it needs to be unpacked with proper evidence assessed. But at this moment, I think that the government is able to administer this grant. I think that the first few months of the introduction of the SRD showed us that the system is capable of reaching a high number of beneficiaries. But now, through these recent proposed regulations and new regulations which have sought to increasingly narrow the scope and reach of the grant, we saw that we started experiencing challenges. So a universal basic income grant would reach a wider set of people, but it will also ensure that our economy is stimulated and that more people can access their socio-economic rights.
Well, thank you very much, Zimbali, for coming on to this morning's program and sharing some of your insights with us. That's researcher at the Institute of Economic Justice, Zimbali Mncube.